Gachiakuta is the series that will remind you why you love manga. Welcome back to Talk Manga Daily. Today we're breaking down Gachiakuta Volume 2, covering chapters 5 through 13. This isn't just a normal recap. We'll look at character introductions from Volume 2, how they fit into the world's system, and what this volume tells us about the cleaners and the world of the pit. Let's dive in. Warning, there will be spoilers ahead. So, Volume 2, Chapter 5 is entitled Interpersonal Relationships. So, Volume 2 opens with tension as Rudo meets Zanka Nijiku, the cleaner assigned to train him. Zanka's introduction is unforgettable in this chapter. And as a reminder, he is the guy that was at the end of Volume 1. So Zanka, he's fiery, blunt, and fiercely protective of his stick, which is his vital instrument. The conflict starts when Rudo grabs Zanka's stick during a scuffle, not out of disrespect, but to try and catch a cat that stole his money. To Zanka, this is a serious offense. That stick is not just a stick, it is his treasure. Zanka explodes in anger, furious that Rudo would touch something so personal without permission. He even insults Rudo's upbringing, which stings because Rudo lost his parents and was raised by Recto, the man he loved and respected very much. This is when Rudo stops to reflect on Recto's advice. If you want someone to listen to you, you have to stop and begin meeting them halfway. He realizes that Zanka is angry because the stick means as much to him as Rudo gloves means to Rudo. Instead of escalating the fight, at this point, what Rudo does is he tries something new. He apologizes sincerely and tries to diffuse the situation. Their encounter ends in an awkward truce, but it marks Rudo's first real effort to connect with someone on the ground. It shows that he's starting to apply what Red Toe taught him, even in a world that feels hostile and unfamiliar at this point. So, in chapter 5, the tension that Rudo was trying to diffuse didn't quite diffuse because in chapter 6, him and Zanka ends up into a mild scuffle, and chapter 6 is called Duking It Out. So here we get to see what could be called Zanka's fiery personality. He's quick tempered, but also deeply, again, tied to his vital instrument. So he and Rudo begins to spar, and while Zanka's experience shines through, Rudo instinct leads him to grab a plunger, turning that fight into what we would call a comical mess. This chapter shows us that Zanka, while rough around the edges, has the skill and composure of someone who survived countless battles. Engine joins in at the end, laughing at the ridiculous scene where Zanka and Rudo had got into the scuffle, and Rudo had grabbed a plunger that had poo on it, and some of it got on Zanka. And let's just say, Engine describes Zanka's personality as kind of like what would be called the rich kid on the ground or in the pit. So this was funny to Engine. And we also meet Riyo at the end of chapter 6 as well. So Riyo is a confident, playful cleaner who's curious about Rudo. She'll become important in both the team dynamics and Rudo's growth as well. Chapter 7 is entitled Cleaner's Headquarters, and chapter 8 is entitled Observation Field Trip. So we'll walk through chapter 7 and you'll understand how chapter 8 then, of course, plays into this. So chapter 7 gives us a real look at the cleaner's HQ. The HQ is a large fortress-like building that functions as their base of operations. Inside, there's a hierarchy of about 100 members, including combatants, sentinels, and supporters. Cleaners are spread across various bases depending on where they're working, so HQ isn't always packed. But on this particular day, when they took Rudo to HQ for the first time, it was definitely packed. Rudo meets Semiu, a key figure who evaluates new recruits. Semiu's vital instrument is her glasses. They enhance her vision and let her seize a person's essence and potential. She sizes up Rudo, spotting his physical talent and high capability with his gloves. But she does note that his abilities are unstable. Semiu gives us insight into how the cleaners maintain standards and assess power without arrogance. This chapter also sets up the mystery of the boss. So, the purpose of taking Rudo to the headquarters was because for him to officially be a cleaner, he needs to meet the boss. And of course, the boss isn't there. And one of the things we do take note of in the conversation with in chapter 7 is that none of the cleaners know what the boss's vital instrument is. And because Rudo didn't get an opportunity to meet the boss, they have a mission that they're going on at this point. So Rudo can only observe doing this mission. So that takes us into chapter 8, which is entitled Observation Field Trip. With the bosses absent, Rio leads Rudo on an observation mission. We learned key world building in this particular chapter. The ground is divided into safe zones where people can live, and the polluted zones overrun by trash beasts. The most dangerous areas are called no man's land. This is where Rudo fell when he first got kicked off the spear. It's where most tend to die within minutes without a gas mask. So, in this particular chapter, Rudo was trying to determine like how long he had been out there without a gas mask. During this mission, Rudo meets Gris, a supporter. A supporter has no power, but they are essential to cleaner operations. Gris demonstrates that the strength and courage of supporters, showing that the value on the ground isn't always tied to anima or powers. And early on in volume 1, we learned what anima is. We see the cleaners as a system of teamwork. Givers like Riyo and supporters like Gris work together and work in sync during these missions. So we're going to combine a few chapters together to go through this a little quickly. Chapter 9 is entitled In a Strange Land. Chapter 10 is entitled Drawing Near. And chapter 11 is entitled Getting Closer. So Rio actually gets an opportunity to shine in this chapter as we get to see her unique combat style. Her vital instrument is a pair of scissors called the Ripper. She transforms as a fighter, and these scissors actually get big enough to where she can wield them with her feet, slicing down trash beasts with precision. This chapter introduces the idea that vital instruments reflect not just emotional bonds, but unique fighting styles. Rudo begins to understand the cleaner's battle rhythm. Supporters immobilize or immobilize, givers finish. But when a larger trash beast in this particular chapter, there was a larger trash beast that actually resisted Rio's attack. And what we discovered was something shocking is that this particular trash beast had a razor core or a vital instrument. So my impression was this was something that they hadn't seen before. So this is a hint to a deeper link between trash beasts and possibly a human like made object combined with the trash beast. You know, also elsewhere, we revisit one of Rudo's old attackers, now confronted by a sinister stranger asking about, Rudo. So in volume 1, when Rudo first fell from the spear and then he encountered Engine, then he ended up in the clutches of a group of people who were trying to subdue him to sell him off. And so one of those individuals came back up in this story, and there was a sinister stranger inquiring to that one of those individuals from the group regarding like where's Rudo. So This is a hint at forces closing in on Rudo from beyond just raiders or trash beasts. So back at the mission, Rudo struggles with self doubt, frozen by fear and frustration. As he's out there to observe, a trash beast comes up behind him, and then Gris had to counter protect Rudo at this point. So Rudo, even though his ability is going to be amazing, he still has to learn how to execute his ability, how to activate it, how to execute it without thinking. So it's going to be interesting to see when Rudo figures everything out, thing out and learns how to execute um, on his own. So we see how supporters also play the role of moral anchors on the team as well. So Gris pulls him aside and offers encouragement, reminding him to focus on what he wants to do, not just living up to expectations. Then we go on into again chapter 11, getting closer. The team returns to HQ and holds a welcome party for Rudo, but he's weighed down by the guilt over his perceived failures. Greed again supports him, sharing knowledge with him, telling him don't, you know, underestimate yourself, or sharing how supporters are often underestimated, and explaining how one of the other team members had a dream to be both a supporter and a giver. So we learn more about the value of cleaners here. That even those without anima can aspire to more, and the mutual respect underpins their system. So this chapter deepens Rudo's bond with the team, getting, setting us up with a path so that he can find confidence. Chapter 12 and chapter 13. Chapter 12, Shadows on the Ground. Chapter 13 is entitled Raiders. So, with chapter 12, the cleaners take on a mission to rescue another person from the spear. But this is actually a trap. Raiders, bandits who are givers, want Rudo for the knowledge he holds about the spear. Basically, we learn that the raiders have givers ability, but they don't work as cleaners. They are exactly what they say they are, and they're raiders. So again, Zanka takes center stage here. He quickly assesses the raiders' powers. One uses a shovel to control mud. The other wears snowshoes like instruments to move freely across um, the mud as well. Zanka's skill shines as he delivers a decisive strike, showing his intimate connection with his vital instrument. But the fight isn't over. The stranger who's been hunting Rudo appears, setting the stage for a dangerous new threat in Volume 3. So, as Zanka was able to assess the raiders' ability and quickly take them down, when his back was turned, this other stranger walks up behind him, and this is where volume ends. Again, volume 2 of Gachiakuta expands the world of Gachiakuta and introduces us to new characters who enrich the system of cleaners and raises the stakes with human threats and deeper mysteries. We're left asking, who is the stranger at the end? What do the raiders really want? And how will Rudo grow into his role? So let me know if you have any theories, and don't forget to pick up Gachiakuta, dive into it. It's a really great story.